In this video, I'm taking you inside my process, how I'm outlining, drafting, and actually getting words down on the page. So if you're also writing your first draft, don't worry, you are not alone. We're gonna do it together. If this is my first time on your screen, hi, how are you? My name's Maya. I'm a 23-year-old published writer, currently working on my debut novel. It's a fiction romance going under the alias Tide. So whenever I talk about it, we talk about it, we're gonna call it Tide. With Tide, I do intend to get it published. I would love to be published by a Big 5 publisher. I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. I have a lot of hopes and dreams and goals for this story and for this novel that I have been pouring years into at this point, and I know I will get there, but I also know it has to be written. So I'm sharing my process here on YouTube and also on TikTok and just sharing all the little in-between things that I learn, things I go through, thoughts I have, just all of it. This is going to be a very long process, but it's going to be a process that will change my life. And I love the quote people always say of like, it's not the end, it's the what is it? It's not the destination, it's the journey. And that's totally how I feel about this. Like, of course, it's going to be amazing to see Tide on a bookshelf and to go on a book tour and see my name on the cover of a book. Like, I have chills talking about it. I can't get the smile off my face now. I'm excited for all of that. But it's this journey and the process of actually writing the book that also feels so exciting for me. And that feels like that's what's going to make everything worth it in the end. It's hard, it's tedious, it's a lot of work, it takes endless creativity, and I'm not afraid to say that writing a book is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but I'm also so proud of myself, and I feel like I'm really getting my words down. So if this is our first meeting, hi, nice to meet you. If not, if you've been here before, thanks for returning, and let's get into it. Right now I have about 20,000 words, a little bit over that, like somewhere in the hundreds, but 20,000 words, and I've managed to get there without ever making an outline. I just don't like them. I feel like they are parameters around my brain and my creativity. I much more prefer to just sit down and see where my words go, see just what happens. I'm very much more of an intuitive writer, but unfortunately, now that I am at the point in the book where the beginning has happened, the inciting incident has happened, and now I'm in the middle, I'm in the bulk, I need to get to the climax, I have to do an outline. I need it. I'm so unorganized. Every time I sit down to write, I don't know where I'm going next. Because there's just so much story there, right? I have the ending. I know where my characters need to go. I know what arcs need to be completed. So I have the beginning, I have the end, but now this middle part just needs to get organized. So although I don't like outlines, I have figured out a way to make an outline just for myself to be organized, but still let there be some like leaving some parts of it still a little ambiguous so I can go in and still have my creative touch put on there and not feel like I'm constricted too much. So what I've been doing is creating a document, and I have put all the chapters and then just put the main points that need to happen in each chapter in order to get to the next one. So almost like giving each chapter their own little story structure, or their own little story structure, right? So I have the beginning of the chapter, the middle, the end. We have the inciting incident, the climax, resolution, but all within a little chapter. As far as the setting, as far as the actions, as far as the conversations they're having, that is where I kind of leave some room for me to go in and just play around and see what I'm feeling. And of course, I don't feel married to this outline. Like if there's something where I feel like, oh wait, I should do this instead, I will just do it. At the end of the day, this is the first draft. There's so much time and space and room for me to do edits and change things, but it has been very helpful to at least have a rough outline, even if it is only bullet points. So then each time I sit down to write, I can just open up my outline doc, go through, see what chapter I'm at, and then make sure each point's getting hit. And then that way, I also know that each chapter has purpose, because I mean, why am I writing it? Why am I wasting the time? Why would I sit here and spend time writing something that isn't going into the overall plot or isn't helping out anyone? Isn't telling the story, isn't adding any depth? Like, why would I be doing that? So this has just helped me be a little more focused, make sure that my writing is super intentional, but still giving me the space to have that discovery writing element and, you know, be a little free with it. And I'll also add, my outline has been changing. Like every time I sit down to write, I feel like something needs a little bit of a tweak, and I think that's okay. I'm not married to it. It's allowed to flow and change and grow and like be whatever it's going to be, and I want it to change and just be the best it can be. So I'm okay with letting it, you know, change. Consistency has been an absolute game changer for me. As soon as I started sitting down every single day and writing, that's when I actually saw momentum and actually saw progress. And I know that seems so self-explanatory, and I know everyone has told you that so many times, but it really is what works. Back between like September through December, I'd actually say, I had a really hard time getting anything done. And that's just because I wasn't carving out enough time. I would only give myself a couple hours a week, or I would only give myself an hour every 2 weeks. And it just wasn't working. And I was beating myself up over it when literally the answer was just finding consistency and finding a routine that works. I like to write in the mornings, so I've figured out a morning routine that works best for me, which is wake up, journal, read, meditate, work out, and then I get to writing. While I'm doing the other little stuff in the morning, I'm not on my phone. I'm trying my best to stay away from any like outside influences and just really stay in like the writer-reader mindset. And then as soon as I open my laptop, I just get to it. Ideally, I would like to be writing like 3 to 4 hours a day, but realistically, it's more like an hour or two. I wish I did put more time into it, but that's just literally on me. There's no reason why I'm not. It's just on me. So check back in a couple months and hopefully I will be telling you it's 3 to 4 hours. But every single day, every morning, at least an hour, I'm sitting down and writing. And to be honest with you, like, I don't want you to hear that and think you aren't doing enough, because I'll also say, like, sometimes it's 200 words. Sometimes it's 100. Sometimes it's just a sentence. Sometimes it's 1,000 words. Like sometimes it's a great writing day. Other days it's not. But it's just the act and creating a ritual around sitting down every day and writing. And also so I have the confidence to know that like, all right, I got myself. Like, you want to do this thing. You said you're going to do it. You sit down and you do it. Just building confidence as a writer and building trust in myself has been so huge for getting through this first draft. Like I said, some days it's a lot of words. Other days it's not a lot. Sometimes I'm just brainstorming, or I'm working on that chapter outline, or I'm thinking about random things like what's my character's playlist? What's her favorite song? What products does she use in her hair? And even though those type of things don't really add into my story or help me get more words down, it's just staying in it. It's just making sure that I'm consistently in her mind and consistently sitting there and thinking like, okay, you know, just like thinking about it. I think that's really important. And that's really helped me when I'm not so focused on all the outside stuff that I forget what I'm writing. Like I want to constantly be in that world, be in my character's head, and just make sure I know it inside and out. So every single day, even if it's a lot or a little, consistency has been such a huge thing for me. Also reading. I've been reading every single day. And while this might seem like I don't really get how this helps you write, it actually is super helpful. So I do this thing, I mean, it's not a new concept, like everyone does it, but I will say the phrase like reading like a writer, that's something that I have talked about so much over on TikTok and even here. But I read like a writer, so I will sit down and I annotate and I just take notes and I look at the story and I think about the style and the tone and the chapter lengths and the diction and just all the little elements of writing, and I try to figure out what it is about that book that makes it so good or makes it not so good. But reading every single day and constantly learning is also just an extension of me continuing to stay in the story and having this consistency factor to it. I also just think it's important to concern yourself with the reader's experience as a writer. So I want to see what's going on in the books that are most popular. I want to see what people are enjoying to read. I want to see what works, what doesn't work. And then through that, I'm able to then go and write my own novel and figure out, again, what works and what doesn't work. But because I have so many great full examples, because I'm reading so much, it just makes it so much easier when I go now to write my book and I just have all these examples in my mind, like things I can pull from or like little tips and knowledge and whatever that I know. Also setting goals, like that is so big for my writing routine. So I do it in my little planner, and every month I just write a goal of a word count and then a reading goal. So for 2025, I've been setting the goal of 5,000 words a month. Have I been hitting it? No, I don't hit 5,000 words a month, but I don't find it discouraging when I don't hit it. I just find it to be like, okay, next month you gotta do more. And I write down this goal at the bottom of the page for like the month spread. So just every single day I look at it and I see it and I remember, okay, 5,000 words. And then I've also set the goal of 5 books. So that's how many books I want to read this month. And I'm on book 2 of this month. So I do have to get going. But I've also just found writing down my goals and breaking down the routine or breaking down the process month by month has just made it less overwhelming. Because when I stretch out the whole writing process and see what it means to get from 20,000 words to 80,000 words, I'm like, that's way too much. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there. But when I break it down month by month and I just say, okay, 5,000 words this month, 5,000 words next month, it just seems a lot more manageable. I don't get overwhelmed. I feel like it's something I can actually do and it's attainable. So setting these goals, and maybe they're not goals that I'm hitting, but they're there, and I'm being intentional about trying to get to them. And I just think that's important. The trying, the believing, the having confidence and having trust in myself, that's really what I've been building over these last couple months of figuring out what my writing routine is. The hardest part about writing my first draft has been wrapping my head around the fact that this only is a first draft. I feel like I don't give myself the space to be messy and to have bad writing. I'm just so focused on wanting to make it perfect and great that I waste so much time editing and trying to come up with the perfect word to use, and it's just a big waste of time because at the end of the day, this is only a first draft. No one has to see this if I don't want them to. There is still a whole second phase of this that I'm gonna have to go through, a whole editing phase that I'm gonna have to go through. So just having to wrap my head around the fact that it's only a first draft has been the hardest thing for me. More recently, I've been doing a better job of it. For example, this morning, I was doing a scene with a lot of dialogue, and I know in the long run, I don't want chapters that are just conversations. I want some, action words in there, and I want paragraphs, and I just know like dialogue is not what I want to rely on to tell this story, but I let myself do it. I wrote like 600 words of just dialogue, which is a lot, and I know that's not going to be what the final edit's going to be of my book, but just giving myself the space to play around with it, to be messy, and to, again, have bad writing, just because this is the time to do it. A first draft is only there for me to tell the story to myself, for me to figure out what it is I want to say, what it is I'm doing, what my characters think and feel, and all of this stuff. So just being more gentle with that and letting myself make mistakes, be messy, be bad, that's what I have to do. And that has been the hardest thing for me. I really think it stems from being a student for so long. And because I studied writing in school for the last 5 years, I think I really got caught in the habit and the cycle of thinking like, okay, this is for an assignment. I only have a limited amount of time to do this. I very much wasn't the type to go in and edit a whole thing and change it. I always wanted the first time to be the best that I could do, and then, have to do some edits here and there. But I always tried my hardest the first time around because I didn't want to have to spend time editing, and because it was on such quick turnarounds and timelines, I really didn't have the time to do that. But this is different. This is a completely different ball game, completely different, I'm not even playing the same game here. So I just have to rethink and reframe what it is I'm thinking about the first draft, and that has definitely been the hardest thing for me. I'm motivated by knowing that it's possible to do what I want to do. I don't feel like this is some far-fetched, really far-off dream that I can't accomplish. I feel like I can do it, and that's what motivates me. Because if it's possible and it's something that I want, why can't it happen? Why can't I go and do it? And I'm putting in the time, I'm being consistent, and that really is just what motivates me. I read a lot of books about writing, and the one thing that they always are saying is just being confident in yourself and having this soul internal thing that tells you I'm a writer, you are a writer. And that's how I feel. I know that I was put here to do this, whether this is the novel that, is the one that feels so soul purposeful, or if it's my next one or the next one or the next one, or if it's all of them, whatever the case may be, I just know for a fact I am meant to be writing in one way or another. I am meant to share the words, and when I don't share them, I don't feel like myself. When I'm not creatively doing something, I don't feel like myself. So that's just a signal to me that this is what I'm meant to be doing, and I feel it, and I know it, and I feel confident in that. So that's my motivation. I wish I had something more tangible that I could say, or tips or tricks or something, but I don't know. There's just this innate thing in me that tells me you can do this and you're going to do it and it's possible. I think about Timothée Chalamet's speech from the SAG Awards where he was like, I want to be one of the greats. This is what I want to do. I'm dedicating my time to doing this. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I think we should all be ambitious and we should all be encouraging each other to be ambitious. So that is what I find motivation in, just knowing that I was meant to do this and feeling proud of myself for going after it and knowing there's so much more to do. Like, I'm only 23 years old. I have such a long life to live and I love to write. So that's what motivates me. Well, that is where I leave you. This is how I'm writing my first draft. It's figuring out my own routine. It's being consistent. It is believing in myself, knowing that I can do it, and pulling from that motivation every single day. Like I said earlier, even when I don't want to, it's knowing that I need to. So instead of focusing on what I want, it's doing what I need. And right now, to finish a draft, it's writing every single day. So that's how I'm getting through it. It is not a hard, no, I take that back. It is not an easy, that's what I meant to say. It is not an easy thing to be doing this first draft. So also, if you've made it all the way to this point and you're writing yours, give yourself a round of applause. Be gentle to yourself. Be proud of yourself that you're even trying, because it is such a hard thing to do. And, you know, we're getting through. I'm going to continue sharing my process here on YouTube and over on my TikTok. And I'd love if you wanted to join on my little journey with me. I would love to hear about your own journey, or if you've published a book, let me know where we can buy it and I'll definitely check it out. But that will be it for now. Definitely leave any comments you have down below about your own process, or if you have any tips and advice, things that other writers can share with each other. I would love to hear that. But alas, that is it. I will see you soon for a brand new video. Bye!